everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Emma, and in today's video we're going to be attempting to finish all of the series I'm in the middle of reading currently. I've seen this idea floating around all over booktube and decided I wanted to challenge myself to this because I think currently I'm in the middle of 18 series, give or take. Now some of those are incomplete series where I am up to date and obviously can't continue on from where I'm at right now, but a pretty good portion of those are series that I am dead smack in the middle of and own the rest of the series, but for some reason haven't finished. If you've been watching my other recent videos, you may also know that I've kind of been in and out of a reading slump, and something I always tell people to do if they're in a reading slump is just continue series they're already reading, because then you're already acquainted with the characters and the world and there's less information for your brain to take in. And I don't know why I haven't taken my own advice, so instead of picking up a standalone or starting a new series, I decided to tackle as many series I'm in the middle of as possible in this video and take you guys along with me. But with that being said, I think the first book I'm gonna start with in this video is Saving Six, which is book 3 in the Boys of Commment series. Now this is one of my favorite series ever. I absolutely flew through books 1 and 2, was absolutely obsessed with them, and I've been putting off this series simply because I don't want it to end. Right now I am 67 pages into this book and it's already flying by. I actually started reading this last night and I've been highlighting little quotes throughout here. I wouldn't call the writing in this super lyrical or poetic by any means. It's actually mostly just dialogue, but I feel so connected to the characters in this world, so I've just been highlighting little cute moments and things they say that I think might be significant in the book. And I do think sometimes when I annotate, it helps me like stay in the book longer. I don't know if anyone else is like that or if it's just me, but I'm having a really good time so far. And these are pretty long books with very thin pages, but for some reason they just don't feel that long to me. So we're gonna be reading Saving Six first, and then we'll pick our next one when I'm finished with this. I also forgot to say earlier, but this is going to be a spoiler-free vlog, so no need to worry if you haven't read any of these books yet. Good morning, everyone. It is the next day since the last clip I filmed, and I'm in my Harry Potter PJs, just getting ready for the day, but I figured I would kind of update you guys on where I'm at in the book and how I'm liking it. And I also realized I never really explained to you guys like what the Boys of Commment series is about. For starters, I'm like 200 something pages into the book, which seems like a lot, but when I went to go update it on Goodreads, it says I'm only like 26% in. And the way this one is set up, it's taking you through all the years of high school, I think. So it'll say like year 1, and then you have a couple chapters, and then year 2, and then that one's a little longer. Let me just quickly explain what this series is about for those who don't know. These take place in Ireland, which when I first started the series was really confusing because there's so much lingo and like the way things are pronounced are totally different than how we would say them in the US. But thankfully Chloe Walsh put like a key or like a guide in the front of the book on how to pronounce people's names and also what all their slang and lingo means. But basically it is a series, but within the series there's duologies. So there's Binding and Keeping 13, Saving and Redeeming 6, and then Taming 7 just came out, but there'll be another one after that, and each of those go together in pairs. And all these characters are high schoolers, so I don't know if this is technically considered YA, but the topics discussed feel very not YA. As far as the romance goes, it's really not that explicit. It's just the other subject matters in the book. So I'm not exactly sure how to classify them. And also like they are romances, but there's so much else going on in the characters' lives that I wouldn't say romance is like the focal point. Actually, I take that back. Romance is definitely the focal point, but I don't know, it's just really, really hard to explain. But if you are interested in reading the series, definitely look up trigger warnings because it can be pretty heavy at sometimes. Finding and Keeping 13 follow Johnny and Shannon and other characters as well, but they're the two main characters and we're kind of following their story. And then when you jump to Saving Six, which is the one I'm on now, you're following Shannon's older brother, Joey, and a girl that he goes to school with named Aoife, I think is how you pronounce it. I read it like Aoife in my head. But it's interesting because the timelines do overlap with the first two books, even though we're following different characters. So where I'm at now in the book, it's actually taking place before the events of Binding 13, but I know we're just gonna get to where the timeline we're in with Joey and Aoife is the same timeline we were in with Johnny and Shannon. We'll just get their perspectives. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out, since I do already know what's gonna happen for the most part. I'm interested to get to that mostly to see if it feels repetitive or if it's just gonna hit me twice as hard, giving me a newfound appreciation for Joey, because obviously in the first couple of books you see him, he's a part of the story, but he did a lot of things that I wasn't a fan of. But now that I'm getting his perspective, I can kind of understand more of how his mind works and why he does certain things and behaves certain ways. Okay, update, and I've been meaning to update as I've been reading it, but I'm on page 366 of this book. This is how much I have left, and oh my gosh, I'm loving it so much. I still think I don't love it as much as Binding and Keeping 13, but I cannot believe I didn't continue this series sooner, because I love Aoife and Joey's story so much. I've almost been brought to tears multiple times, and I'm hopefully gonna finish it really soon. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it today, because even though it doesn't look like I have that much left, there's almost 500 pages in this book, so I still have quite a bit left, but I've made very good progress and I can't put it down. That's my update. I have nothing else to say other than I'm loving it, and there's a very good chance that this could end up being a 5-star read. Hey guys, it is update time, and it's been a couple days since I actually finished Saving 6, but I wanted to sit on it for a day or so before I could really give my review, because honestly, I'm still a little bit conflicted about what I want to rate this. Also, sorry if you can hear noises in the background. There's some type of construction going on outside of my apartment, so I can't help it. In my last update, I was raving about how much I loved this book, and I literally enjoyed every single second of it. I'm not gonna reiterate how much I loved it, because basically everything I said in the last clip still applies. When I finished this, I immediately went straight to Goodreads and logged this as a 5-star read, because it felt like a 5-star read. I mean, I was literally annotating every second of it, and it was one of those reads where every time I wasn't reading it, I was excited to get back to reading it. But then as I sat on it, I started to think about how I don't love it as much as Binding and Keeping 13, which were 5-star reads for me. I started questioning whether or not this was a 5-star read. And like, if I'm questioning whether it's a 5-star read, wouldn't that mean there's no way it's a 5-star read? But I think I've decided to keep it as a 5-star, just because I feel like I have two different types of 5-star books. I have some 5-star reads where after I finish it, that book is all that consumes my thoughts, like literally constantly thinking about the story and the characters throughout every day of my life. This book, I think, is the other type of 5-star read for me, which is when I just close a book and automatically know it's a 5-star read because of how good of a time I had while reading it. Like, I didn't have to really analyze this or think about it. I just got the 5-star feeling. With that being said, as soon as I finished this, I wanted to immediately pick up the next book and start reading it, but I feel like that would make this video not that fun, because I do want to try to get to as many different series I'm in the middle of as possible. So I went against my urges to continue this series, and I actually went ahead and dove into the next book in another series I'm reading, and that series is the Twisted series by Anna Huang. Before this video, I had read books 1 through 3, which leaves me with just the 4th and final book, which is Twisted Lies. It's not my favorite series in the world, but it's fast-paced, it's entertaining, it's a good like palate cleanser-y type of series. The series as a whole centers around a group of friends, and then each book follows a different girl in the friend group. And this book follows Stella. She's a fashion enthusiast, she's an influencer blogger, and then the love interest is Christian, who is this like dark, broody security. I don't honestly really know what he does. Something with security, and he's really rich. And I've actually been listening to this on audio because I did have it on Audible, and I've just been putting it on in the background as I'm cleaning or cooking or doing whatever, and I've flown through it pretty fast, which is surprising because this is a very thick book, literally like 550 pages, and in my opinion, a simple romance book should not be longer than 300 pages. Like, obviously Saving 6 is a romance book and it's almost 500 pages, but this is different because this is like an emotional, deep character study romance, whereas this is like a smutty little palate cleanser romance. I just typically don't enjoy it as much if it feels dragged out and is over 300 pages. So I'm honestly really glad that I'm listening to the audiobook because I didn't even realize it was that long. Current thoughts are that I'm enjoying it. I'm not obsessed with it. Kind of feeling the same with this one as I have other books in the series. Like, it's definitely a fun book. I'm enjoying it. It's entertaining, but is it gonna be in my top favorites? Definitely not. I am really enjoying the dynamic between our two main characters in this. It's grumpy sunshine, it's billionaire, it's somewhat of an enemies to lovers. You know, it's a very trope heavy book, but I'm not hating that. I'm liking it, not loving it. I'm hopefully gonna finish it today and then we can dive into another book, but it'll feel really good when I do finish this to be able to say that I did check off one full series that I'm in the middle of. Okay, it is a few hours later, even though for you watching, it's like 2 seconds later, but I finished the audiobook of Twisted Lies. I don't know if I feel like this just because I recently realized that the book is actually pretty long, but the very end just kind of seemed to be super dragged out. Like, I was just waiting for things to wrap up, and it seemed like it kept being prolonged when we could have got to the point a lot sooner. And it felt like the epilogue was way too long, which to some degree I can understand because where it's the last in the series, you're kind of getting glimpses at all the characters who had books before this one and like where they are now in their lives. I think I'm gonna go with giving it a 3 stars. I would say it's my second favorite out of the whole series. My first favorite is still the second book, which is Twisted Games. And then I would say this one, Twisted Lies, was my second favorite, then Twisted Hate, and then the first one, Twisted Love, is my least favorite. Overall, I would say it's like a 3-star series, maybe a 3.25 star. Like I said earlier, not my favorite series in the world, but it is still really entertaining, and I'm not like mad that I read it. And I would say if you're looking for good palate cleanser romances, or if you're in the mood for a mindless, fast-paced, smutty read, these books would be good. Even though I did say this last one was pretty long, it wasn't like it was hard to get through. Things still moved pretty quick. I'm very happy to say that I can check one full series off of the list of series I was in the middle of. But since I'm now finished with the Twisted series, I think the next book I'm going to jump into and the next series I'm going to jump back into for this video is the Heartstopper series. And my next read in that series is book 5. I decided to go with Heartstopper because after reading 2 romance books back to back, I'm even more in a mood for romancy books than other genres, so I figured I'd keep the ball rolling with another romance. This is a YA graphic novel. So it's like a comic book inside, which is really fun to read. This series follows Charlie and Nick and just their story, their friend group, their love and relationship. And it's the cutest, most wholesome, sweetest, just like feel-good series I've ever read. These books literally have me like kicking my feet and giggling and smiling at the pages. This is the newest release in the series, I think, but there are gonna be more to come out in the future. And these are just the most bingeable books ever. Obviously, they're graphic novels, so there's not a lot to actually read. It's just pictures and dialogue. But aside from that, they're just so quick to get through because they're kind of like addicting reads. I'm just constantly flipping the page to find out what happens next, and reading these just make me so happy. Heartstopper will be my next pick. I don't know if I'm gonna get to it today because I have a lot to do today, but as soon as I have a chance to, I'm gonna pick this up. And there's a pretty good chance I could finish it in one sitting because I think there's been 2 Heartstopper books so far that I've finished in one sitting. I just propped my phone up really quick to give you guys an update that I'm on page 208. I've literally flown through it. This is how much I have left, and I could probably finish this in like 20 minutes. But I'm liking this one not quite as much as the previous ones. It's still really good, and it's giving me all the happy butterfly feelings, but I feel like not a lot is happening in this one, and I think there's a reason for that, but I can't really explain it without giving spoilers for the earlier books. That's like my only small bone to pick. Like, I'm being so picky. I'm still absolutely loving it. It just feels like there's not a whole lot going on in the plot compared to the other books. But it's still a really fun read, and I just love being back with these characters. So the next time I get like 20 or 30 minutes to sit down and finish it, I will be finishing it, and I'll come back to update you guys
on my full thoughts and opinions, but I feel like it's pretty safe to say that I'm gonna love this one just like I have all the other ones.
You guys, I finished Heartstopper and I'm gonna talk about my thoughts while I touch up my makeup because it looks horrible right now. I would say the last 50 to 100 pages of the book had more going on in the plot than the entire rest of the book. And the second I closed it, I went on Amazon to see if I could order the next book in the series, but I don't think it's out yet because I couldn't find it anywhere. Like I've been saying over and over again, it's just the most wholesome, sweetest, most adorable thing I've ever read. That all being said, I will give you guys my rating. And to preface my rating, I've given every Heartstopper book before this one at least a 4-star. This one, I think I'm gonna go with a 3.75. Which for me is still a really good rating, and the only reason I can't give it a 4 is simply because I rated a lot of the other ones a 4, and to me this one just wasn't quite as good. But I did still really love it. I'm excited for the next book to come out. I will be reading it as soon as it does. I did consider reading more books in this reading vlog, but I feel like instead I could make this a multiple part series. Maybe every month or so I do another video where I try to continue series I'm in the middle of, and I'm just gonna continue getting ready, which is like the oddest outro I've ever done. So to start the video off, I read Saving Six, which is book 3 in the Boys of Commment series, and I just absolutely love that whole series with my whole heart. I don't really know what it is about those stories, but I just feel so connected to the characters. And as a character-driven reader, there's nothing I love more than feeling like the characters I'm reading about are real people, even though I might get emotionally attached to them in an unhealthy way. I gave that book a 5-star, and I am gonna keep it at a 5-star because the longer I've sat on it and sat on my conflicted feelings towards giving it a 5-star, I really truly do feel like it's a 5-star. It's just not a 6-star read like Binding and Keeping 13 were, but definitely still a 5-star read, and I'm so glad I finally got around to reading it. Then I read the 4th and final book in the Twisted series called Twisted Lies. I gave that one a 3-star. I think that's right. I honestly can't remember what I rated it, but I'm going with a 3-star. Like, that book is the definition of a solid 3-star read. Not my favorite thing in the world, but not bad by any means. It's fun, entertaining. Then, as I just mentioned, Heartstopper Volume 5, I gave a 3.75, just shy of a 4-star, and I can't really place my finger fully on why it's not a 4-star, but I just, in my heart, feel like it's a 3.75. If you guys would want to see me do this video again in the future, let me know in the comments below, because not only has this pushed me to continue series I'm in the middle of, but it's also just been really fun to film. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and you can check out all the other videos currently on my page right now, and stay tuned for ones coming very soon in the future. I've also linked my TikTok, Instagram, and Goodreads in the description below if you'd be interested in following me over there. And that's all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!